Greetings, fellow captains and clan members. From the Republic of Texas, I'm Commander Maverick. Today I'll be discussing aiming and hitting your target, as well as the different crosshairs that are available. First of all, as you notice, I have some skins here, so please ignore my skins and my special little cosmetic camos that I enjoy. Let's move on to the meat and potatoes here. If you go up here to your settings, you will have your controls tab, and that's where your crosshairs are. So as you can see, I run the dynamic crosshair, which is the best one to run, that adjusts dynamically to the given situations, distances, and speeds of the vessels on gameplay. Static is a much less friendlier one, but this gives the idea. The idea here is to picture the ship inside of a circle. If it's moving away from you to this side of the map, let's say its nose is pointed over here and it's going this way, then this is kind of indicative of what you, let's say he's going along this line right here, he's kind of going into this culvert, he's traveling about half speed, is about 4 or 6 seconds out. You would put this reticle up here and shoot, and you would hit your target. That's the preface of the dynamics of this game, is picture it in a circle. A battleship will have a smaller circle. Cruisers a little bit faster, has a little bit larger circle. And of course, destroyers, being the fastest of all vessels, have the largest circle. That is obviously if they're going full speed. Now, if they're going half speed, then you would cut back. So that is again where knowing your vessels, knowing your ships comes into play. So dynamic. This is the scale of choice for me. Again, it just plays out the best along with that and the knowledge of your ship's guns. So here I'm going to use the Kutuzov as an example. It's got your typical 152 caliber shells, but the initial shell velocity is 950 meters a second. So basically you're shooting laser guns here. They're very flat trajectory, very fast, and they get there right on target. You're not going to have a problem hitting targets with this. Let's look at the North Carolina now, for example. It's got your standard 406s. Initial AP, which is what you're going to be shooting on this, because if anybody shoots HE on this, it's going to be extremely rare, is 701. That is significantly slower than something like the Kutuzov. So 701 meters a second shells are slower, going to get there a little bit slower, so you got to account for that in your time to target. But the dynamic reticle does account for that. That is what is really cool. If you're using a standard shell, a standard reticle, it does not account for your shell's velocity. The dynamic does. It will change dynamically to the ship that you are playing, as well as to the given scenario and situation on the map. So that is why I say that's the way to go, because it automatically adjusts those times for you. So at this point, it doesn't really matter whether I use this or whether I use something like, the Yamato, for instance, that has 780. So it's not as slow as an Iowa or a North Carolina, and it's not as fast as something like a Kutuzov. If you take something like the Des Moines 203s, these are the ones that you famously see going over islands. Well, it's a very slow arc, high arc shell. 762 is the velocity on the Des Moines and I believe the Baltimore. So these are extremely slow, high arc shells, and that's why they can sit behind islands and kind of hit you and stay, unspotted. Blind fire, so to speak, is because of that arc. Whereas something on a Kutuzov, you will not have that luxury. Okay, these are so flat, the islands get in your way, and in gameplay, you'll see that on when it comes up, something's in your way, it's going to show you the little island sign saying you can't shoot there because you would hit the island. So that, again, is you want to picture your ship sitting in a circle, okay? Depending on how it's angled, whether it's angled like this or to the other side coming at you, or whether it's angled away. You know, if you're sitting back here, it's angled slightly like this or like that, what do you do? Okay, well, if it's angled like this, I utilize the nose of the ship, and I come off, again, picture a circle. And if it's up here, you know, let's say your time to target shows 6 seconds, okay? So you're going to also have to count how much of an angle. So if it's only angled out like this versus angled like this, that's going to be two different scenarios of how you're going to shoot at this vessel. You're going to put one closer, you're going to put the other one farther. So you're going to aim out depending on the angle of the vessel. That's where the circle and those lines I showed you on that circle reticle come into play. So let's take this into a quick co-op battle, and we're going to use this as an example ship here. It doesn't matter what you're playing, whether it's a tier 3, 4, 5, a battleship, a cruiser. It doesn't. The only thing it really differs is on DDs. Their shells are real lightweight, very slow, and you add a little bit extra time on a destroyer shell and time to target than you would on anything else. That's the only major difference. As far as the aiming principles themselves, those remain the same. Now here, I'm not going to do anything brave or extravagant. I just want to go in here and get rounds on target and show you how this works and the principles of aiming and hitting your targets. It's just a shooting guide. It's not a strategy guide. So just keep that in mind. As you can see, I have some alterations here. One of them is right here. This is highly visible. Same thing here. These are high vis. So when I'm in scope, you can really see these numbers very visibly. Again, there's that little sign. If you're aiming at landmass, it's going to let you know that you're going to hit an island, not the ship. Let's say, you know, if you're trying to aim here and that island's in your way, it's going to let you know the island's in your way versus you got a clear shot. So keep that in mind. Watch that little island sign that you see here. That means you have a landmass in your point, in your line of fire, and you just don't shoot there. Very simple. Now we're just basically hunting for our first victim. As you see here, it says free look. That is because I don't want to move my guns around every time I do this and have them move all over the place. I want them to stay right here. So if you press the right mouse button, you can pretty much look anywhere you want on the map, and as you see, my gun sights don't move. They stay locked in. So I go back to my gun sight, unlock, and there it is. And that's all you got to do is press the right side mouse button, and you can free look anywhere you want. Check out all your other players, where they're going, what's going on in your map, etc., and not move your reticle all over the place. So you also have a mini map which you can enlarge or minimize to help you look at things, and that's a great tool to always use as well. Now there's his angle, as you can see right here. It's 23 degrees. It's got about half speed, and have all kinds of visitors here. And it's time to put this shooting guide to work. So he's moving, lots of black smoke. We'll be way out on him.
Enemy destroyer found.
He's angled outwards. 4 seconds. Right on target. As you notice I'm aiming a little bit higher because I'm shooting HE and I want him to hit a superstructure where it does the most damage. Right on target. Now, this North Carolina is kind of bowed in at an angle, a little bit of an angle. So if I shot right here, I would miss. So I want to go off to his left a little and shoot out. And I always come out of my shot for a minute and see what's going on around me. You can see it's pretty much there. So there's that circle at work. Picture that circle around this vessel. Okay? Now he was broadside, but he's turning. So I'm going to go back to him, let him finish his turn. So that there is what's known as sequential fire, where I just kind of hold the mouse button down. This is known as single salvo, where you double click, let them all out at once. To me, that's probably the most effective, depending on what you're trying to do. Now he's straight on pretty much. I'm going to shoot at the bow, right below the bow, and they should go right onto him. I'm going to get hammered here because I was at the right side. Let's see what we got here. We got lots of angled ships. Well, there you have it. That was a very quick game. Again, I wasn't doing anything tactical. I just wanted to get guns out there and show you how to hit targets. But now you have an idea of the angling used and how to picture that circle around the ship as it's moving. So that is the most important part. You know, picture him in a circle and you aim off the circle as they're moving around, giving you that target. That's it. That is the key element.
Our team has taken the lead.
So here we go again, somewhere a little more quieter. Visit the potato over here. All right, circle. Okay, he's going full speed. If you look at his smoke, see his smoke?
Our victory is in sight.
He is full speed. He's cruising. Okay, so if you were shooting at him and you were picturing that circle, and you were, depending where, you know, if you were over here, okay, you would want to aim. I don't know if you can see my white dot right here, but you would want to aim off probably about right there, and you would hit him. And it's all based on his angle. That's it. And you use that circle to come off and shoot at him with that guide. It's that simple. Very simple on that. Now that was a fast firing laser straight gun. Let's try something that's not so laser straight, and just to make y'all feel comfortable, we'll try something at a lower tier, so you understand the concept that it doesn't matter what tier or what kind of ship you're playing, that it applies equally everywhere. So I'm just going to try just a tier 7 Fiji. It's a very squishy little thing, but it's got fairish guns. Or maybe we should go to a battleship. I think maybe y'all need to see a battleship in action. What do you think about that? How about just a tier 5 battleship? There we go. Let's just play as tier 5. Now you get to see a battleship in action. And if the difference is obviously you have a longer range. And that's it. The concept and the principles of aiming are the same. Okay, very interesting here. We don't have any destroyers. So basically it's a port one cruiser VV pound out. So we have a Congo, we have me, Wyoming's, and an Emerald, which should be very easy to take out. So I'm predicting where my guns need to be because I'm turning to the left, so I'm putting my guns on the right side of the vessel already. As you can see, I'm going to lock them right there so I can wheel around, make sure I don't hit nobody. I can look around here, see where everybody else is going, doing, whatever have you. And I don't compromise my guns having to move all over the place, especially on a battleship where your turret traverse is significantly slower than on a cruiser or a destroyer where it's not as detrimental. I mean, you can sit there and do this and look around and your guns will come right back in a whack because they're a lot faster traversing. On a battleship, you really don't want to do that. You want to have your guns pretty much stay where you need them. You don't want to move it all over the place when you're checking out your field and see where the ships are at and maneuvering or wherever have you. Now he was coming pretty much dead on, so I kind of shoot at his bow. This gun does not have the greatest dispersion in the world, so you gotta account for battleship dispersion here. And going bow in is not your best. He's got about a 25-degree angle towards me, inside angle, as you can see. So we're going to deal with it just like this. He's only 3 seconds out, all on target. Punished him. I'm going to turn away, make sure I don't have a whole bunch of broadside at him. Now Wyoming has a little less of an angle to me. He's more broadside. You can see how this goes from red to yellow when I go to him. And if it's green, that means that you have a total broadside. So the more it goes into yellow or green, now he went red, that is the more effective your shots are going to be against his broadside. But it doesn't mean we can't still punish these guys even though they're angled. We're still going to give them some damage.
Target penetrated.
So he got a pretty good, healthy dose of my guns there. Now he's giving me a little more broadside, so he's not in the red anymore, according here. So his angle is going out. He's going to give me a lot of broadside in a minute. He stopped, actually, so he's not even moving right now. So I'm getting ready to give him a paddling because... Oh, yeah.
Severely damaged.
He felt that one, didn't he? Now he's green. That is an absolute perfect broadside. Unfortunately, I am 13 seconds away from being able to citadel him, but he's dead anyways.
Battleship destroyed.
That's how it's done, gentlemen. You know, patience is also a big part of this. I know a lot of people get impatient. They want to really push off. And what do we have here? We have an almost broadside battleship. I don't know that I can do guns on it. We're going to try. We're going to try and see what happens here if I can make it over them islands. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Guess I'm going to get torqued now. Not a whole lot I can do here, but eat a couple torps. That's okay. Now I'll go and make the CV pay for that. He's moving away. So it's going to take me a minute to catch up to him if I can.
Problem solved, sir.
So I tried to take it on the torpedo belt there, which as you see I did, and it didn't cause any flooding. And it caused minimal damage this time. That's the key. You have torpedo belts. Remember to use them on these battleships. They are your friends, especially as you go into battle and you've worn down some health. You don't want to be taking heavy damage from these, what I call sky cancer torpedo bombers. And you want to minimize that. And the way to do that is by utilizing your torpedo belts and turning, if you know you're going to eat one, period, regardless, try to turn them, have them eat your torpedo belt. If you don't know, okay, now let's get back to here. Had 40 shots on target, considering we only had a few shots, quite a good amount of hits there. Did okay. I wasn't really trying to impress anybody here, but did a whole lot of damage there. The shells were on target and really didn't have to worry about hitting or missing or anything like that. So, my apologies. So, torpedo belts, just quick since we're on that subject, you want to know where they're at and how they serve and where it is and whatever. So that's your armor belt right here. As you can see, you have a front end armor belt. It's a little bit thinner than this one here. But there's your torpedo belts right here, basically on the side. And if you go to something a little bit bigger, let's go look at a real ship here. So here's your North Carolina, and you have your torpedo bulges right there, which are on top of your other armor plates as well. So you got to understand where they start. You have your front end plating right here. You really, you can take torpedoes here. You'll eventually get what's called damage saturation, and it'll minimally do damage after that. But that is where your torpedo bulge is. So it starts at the front of your turret right here and goes all the way back to your rearward end of the back turret. So keep in mind and know your ship when you're playing your ship. Say, okay, well, where are my torpedo bulges? Where is my protection against that? So there it is. Again, they're about the same. You look at the guns, you go from gun to gun, end to end on the guns, and that should be where they are. So if you're taking them here, what happens is that's it. That's your armor, is that plate. Okay, again, it's 30 something millimeter plating. That's it. And then after that, if it penetrates, it can actually hit your citadel right here. Okay, so you got to be careful with that. Whereas your torpedo bulges, okay, are a lot thicker. Okay, and for instance here, if you look at your protection, it's 27% reduction on a hit. And of course, that varies from ship to ship. On something like the Yamato, it's got these big, fat torpedo bulges, and your torpedo protection is 56%. So it's huge. Now, that is on top of all your other armor plating that you actually have here. So that is why you have, 410 millimeters and another 200 belt here underneath this plate right here. Okay, so you have quite a big high level of armor sitting on the side of these. So it doesn't matter what you're playing, battleship wise, whether it's a tier 4 or whatever. Go in here and check out, well, where is my, what is my torpedo protection here? It's only 16. You're a tier 4, but your armor belt here is 305, and that's probably typically where they're going to hit, is around this area right here. So you don't want them hitting here on the front. Oh, there we go. Sorry. There's your torpedo bulge. Okay, it's 25 millimeters. That's on top of the armor that I just showed you underneath that. So you want this. Again, you can kind of see here, it's a little bit back from, it's about midway on the front turret. Okay, not all the way to the front, and it goes to the back of the rear turret. So there's your bulge right there. So turret to turret, front to back is a good measure, I think, in general, as long as it's in there that you take a torpedo. That is where your optimal protection is for those, and it'll give you the most reduction in damage as far as when you eat a torpedo. Again, if you have to hit it on the nose, try to hit them in the same, like same place. So if you hit it, let's say on the right, try to take the next few right here, and you have, again, what's called damage saturation, and you'll barely get any damage at all, because at that point your nose is saturated and you're not really going to get hurt after that. But food for thought. Well, gentlemen, I hope that aiming guide helped you, and I can do some more if y'all please. Let me know, what y'all want, and if this is something y'all look forward to seeing and helping you out, and is providing a valuable level of knowledge, then I will continue to do them. And I thank you again. Have a great gameplay and a good day.